Welcome to the Brandinc PR Podcast, where we dive deep into the stories and strategies of today's most impactful entrepreneurs, business leaders, and professionals. Whether you're building your brand, scaling your business, or just looking for inspiration, you're in the right place. Hello and welcome back to the Brandinc PR Podcast. I am your host, Brandy Sims. Happy to be back another week for an amazing episode. And I have with me a special guest, Stephany Kaufman, who is the founder of creative and digital agency UpBeat. She's also a podcast host herself with Misfit Marketers or Marketeers. Did I say
Marketers.
that?
You got it right. You got it right the first time.
Jazz it up, like marketeers. Yeah. I'm always starting to jazz stuff up, but you know what? I think it's because of being like a PR person that you always put that fluff and that spin, and it's like no one asked you to do that, Brandy. Like, but yes, do a little bit, but not that much.
So I like it though. I like it. I like the little extra I'm about it. So
I love it. Thank you so much. Well, hey, I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Same.
I'm going to tell you about the situation that happened because your background, as I've seen here, I mean, you have an extensive background in PR, SEO, digital marketing space. So I've got a ton of questions for you. But first, before we get into everything and then my crazy story, tell me, how did you get started in this space? Like, what was that push or even that pull maybe that got you really started in this?
Sure. So how I really got started, I mean, and this is it's one of those things where let me take you back for a moment, right?
Yeah.
So I'll take you back to where I was a few years out of college. I went and got my degree in journalism. I honestly, candidly, I knew probably about halfway through going through my degree program at UConn, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to necessarily be going into journalism. But I continued on that track because, you know, I always enjoyed communications. I was like, oh, what am I going to do? Go into comms or into marketing? It still can ultimately get me to the same destination. So anyway, graduated, wasn't really sure what direction to go in. Ended up working as a recruiter in the city. Ultimately went from being a recruiter, an executive recruiter, to being actually working in sales at Indeed, selling recruitment advertising, right? So anyway, long story short, of course, I've always been in, you know, kind of in the writing space. I had been blogging and such for years. I was much younger at the time. I was in my early 20s, and I decided, hey, when else am I going to have the opportunity to go and travel the world? I'd been to Southeast Asia for a little bit, you know, did like a mini stint of backpacking, but it wasn't enough. I dipped my toes in and I was like, okay, I want to go and travel the world. So anyway, the reason why I'm saying all of this is because right before I left, sold all my belongings, I started a travel blog. Now, with the travel blog, I ended up learning so many different marketing tactics, you know, content marketing, SEO, social media marketing. And ultimately, with my travel blog, travel brands ended up coming to me for me to either promote their brand or to help them with their own marketing. So basically, I went from marketing myself to marketing other brands. And I realized, whoa, I love this. I really enjoy what I'm doing. Anyway, take it a little bit further forward into around COVID time. I was still doing some freelancing, you know, freelancing, working with some brands. I had been teaching English in Vietnam for a couple of years. COVID happened, ended up back in America. And actually, Brandy, you kind of heard me say this. I was like, oh, the world's on fire. What am I going to do? Let me go get my master's in digital marketing and media. So I went ahead and did that. Ended up working a few years as a marketing manager for a data management marketing analytics firm. While I was a marketing manager there, sorry, this is a mouthful, was a marketing manager there. And when I say I was the manager, I was really the entire marketing department. So I was really running the gamut of everything marketing. And from there, I ended up doing more freelancing, and as of November 1st, launched my marketing agency UpBeat. And it's been, you know, all in since there. And I've, you know, really enjoy what I do. So yeah, that's it. And not so much of a nutshell.
No, that is so great. I mean, goodness, this space has taken you literally all over the world, right? And I just love that, you know, even in these experiences, it's almost like with each position that you had, you were becoming more and more adaptable, right? Like you started PR, for, really branding for yourself, and then found that niche and was like, actually, I'm really good at this. And let me see how I do it with other people. And just were able to grow and be really successful in that. I think that's so dope. And then the fact that you like, oh yeah, I was in Vietnam and then I was over here. And then I'm like, girl, the furthest I've been is Jamaica. Okay. And I need to get out more, honestly. Oh
Hey,
gosh.
you're a busy gal. I mean, I there was a point, right, where I was doing this and I was loving working, in marketing and branding because I could go and travel the world. And now, I don't really go much further than these four walls that you see me in right now. So, hey, we're busy girls, especially when you're running your own company. So, hey, don't be hard on yourself. You'll get out there when it's time. You sure will.
I love it. I'm going to take that. I'm going to definitely take that for sure. So, okay. So we've heard your journey and what's kind of taking you through all of the hoops and the bounds of marketing and PR to get you to this point today. And so I want to start tapping in really specifically to some of these core areas that you've gotten an opportunity to really work in and really hone in on. So, specifically speaking to the SEO side of things, right? So, many people view PR and SEO as separate things, but really, like in actuality, they're deeply connected.
They
So,
sure
can
are.
you break down just how earned media and backlinks can directly impact a brand's domain authority, as well as the search rankings?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so true. I mean, one of the big reasons why, Brandy, as you know, that I wanted to come on and speak on this podcast is because of what a parallel there really is between PR and digital marketing, specifically when it comes to SEO. So, for those who might not be aware, SEO stands for search engine optimization. Now, Brandy you mentioned backlinks. What are backlinks? Essentially, those are getting links from your website or whatever website that you want to be promoting and really pushing from an SEO perspective. Um, so for a website, sorry, links on someone else's website back to your website.
Mm.
Now, why are these important, Brandy? As you mentioned, because of domain authority, and ultimately, it's a signal to Google that your website is legit. Oh, we should start pushing this. We should start pushing the whatever keywords that you're trying to rank for into the algorithm higher up on Google search results. So, from a PR perspective, right, and really PR and SEO, the reason so backlinks, of course, are important. Now, when you are trying to get backlinks, what you really want to be aiming for are backlinks to high authority websites. High authority websites tend to be a lot of times they could be large media companies, right? So, getting a backlink or a mention in the New York Times is going to resonate from a search engine optimization perspective so much more than say, some one-off blog that gets no one's ever heard of and isn't really showing up in Google search results either. Um, so I'll kind of just stop there, Brandy. I mean, that's kind of what the value of backlinks are, but happy to dive in much deeper than that as well.
Oh, no, I think that was great, and I'm so glad you explained it because, we'll have these conversations and it's just assumed that everybody knows what we're talking about, but it's like, I'm so glad that you explained it because there are people out there that really don't know about SEO, let alone backlinks and domain authority and what that really means and how it pertains to their brand. So I'm so glad that you explained that, and explained it so well in a way that people can really understand it and how it applies. So I appreciate that.
Of
Um,
course, no problem.
yeah, no, no, seriously. So I didn't tell you my crazy story. So I think this is kind of
Yes, tell
I
me.
should have started with this, but I digress. So what happened was, I don't know what, how you're just on online just doom scrolling. I'm just doom scrolling last week and I'm just like, okay, what's going on in the news? What's going on in the world? Just kind of like going through it. And I just decided to go search myself. And sure enough, when I go search myself, all of these results pop up, but of them, it's like a few that are actually me. And the top
Hmm.
three, which I was telling one of my colleagues, like, this is the wild part of it. The top three, like, it was an entertainment professional, Not the entertainment that I deal with, not knocking adult entertainment. I know that is a form of entertainment, but I don't deal in that entertainment. It popped up in adult entertainment person.
Oh, hold up. No way.
That's what I said. That's what I said. The second was me. And then the third was a Sims character because my last name is Sims. And apparently, one of the OG Sims characters was named Brandy
Brandy.
Sims. So I was literally sitting there like, what the heck? Like, if someone were to search me, you don't even know what to search because it's all of this crazy stuff that pops up. So I had a whole like little mini crisis because it was like after 7. But in and of itself, just like scrolling, okay, how do people like what happened? Like I've got links, I've got this. What happened? Why am I not popping up? And why is this porn star popping up and not me? And
You're like, this is not the same Brandy Sims,
no,
okay? Like,
right, right. So it was just like one of those moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad like I'm talking to Stephany on Monday because number one, she knows who I am. She knows that that's not me. And I'm a real person. I feel like the guy in the cat video, right? Where he's just like in the Zoom call, he's like, I'm not a cat. I'm like, I'm not a Sims character. I'm a real person, y'all.
and this, my friends, is why, and you know, from a PR perspective, from a marketing perspective, and a personal branding perspective, why it's so important to be paying attention to where you're getting those media mentions. What when your name comes up, what is coming up? Is it what you want to be coming up? Is it actually you, or is it some Brandy Sims, which is not this Brandy Sims that we're talking to right here in adult entertainment? That is a totally different Brandy Sims. Let's get that out of the way here.
Yes.
But that's why that's important, and whether it's from personal branding or for the branding of your company or your client's company. So, oh,
Exactly.
that's funny.
It was insane. But yeah, I spent a good amount, probably an unnecessary amount of time just like messing with it and just like, yeah, I need to get a pro on that because that is certainly not me. Just to make it clear that yeah, I am not a Sims character. I'm a real person. Yeah, that's got to happen. So, yeah, I'm just glad that we get a chance to talk about this because that was insane.
Of
But
course, of course.
yes, yes. So we know that PR is all about storytelling. But in the digital world, searchability matters. And this is an instance where it really does matter, especially for those that are interested in your services or finding out more about who you are. So, how do you think, and really, how can small businesses and small business owners, I should say, what should they look for when they're trying to secure that high quality backlinks from media outlets and industry sites?
Yeah. Well, I'll start with the kind of the low hanging fruit here, which is actually candidly how Brandy and I connected with one another through organizations like Quoted. So what is it? Quoted.com. It used to be Hair Out, Help a Reporter Out. I believe either they've disappeared or they rebranded themselves. I'm not really sure. But that is a great way for small business owners to get started in getting those quality backlinks is to go on websites like Quoted and find media organizations, find journalists that are looking for looking for experts with authority in any sort of topic that they're trying to cover, right? Um, that is a great way to one to get your name out there, from just a regular PR perspective, from a regular media perspective, right? But on top of that, you have this beautiful added bonus that not only are the people in that are reading that form of media, that are reading that article, going to learn about you and learn potentially about your business and get more trust in you, right? It's also going to help Google say, hey, we trust this person, we trust this link to this person or to this website, and we're therefore going to push you higher up in the search results for relevant keywords. Now, backlinks are just one piece of a much larger puzzle with SEO, but they are so important. So but it's a great, kind of great thing to get started on. Aside from, like I mentioned, all the keywords and all of that, you have to make sure that those two go hand in hand.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, how do you think that small business owners and kind of flipping this question, right? Because it is just a small piece. We have to get into
But
the
very important for
right,
sure.
right. It's just a small piece of it. It's like, for one, we have to figure out the foundation of it, which this will kind of tie into is what do you think and how really can small business owners craft that media friendly, I'll say, narratives that will align with the best SEO practices or SEO? Yeah. Yeah.
So, but you say kind of media narratives. Do you mean like essentially crafting their own story of their brand, or their own story of how they got started with their brand that they could then kind of leverage when pitching, or trying to
Yes.
get these backlinks? Yeah.
Hmm. Yes.
So Billy Brandy, as you know, right? It's all about having that story and having the language that you use in that story be very consistent, right? So, um, again, we're really kind of diving into the SEO perspective of it, but when you're sort of crafting the story of who you are or who your brand is, you want to be keeping in mind as well, what are those keywords that you want to be hitting about? So what are those keywords, whether it's in your tagline or in your sort of, mission, vision, your overall story of your brand? What do you really want to be honing in on? And what are people thinking about when they would be searching for your products or your services, right? Um, Trying to find like think of a quick example. But Billy, let's say, okay, so I'll ask you, Brandy. So when you're thinking about for yourself being a PR firm, what are some keywords that you would want to be honing in on? Like, what do you think that your customer base or client base would be searching for, your target audience?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I would think, oh my goodness, probably press release. That's one of the big ones because we constantly run into people that are trying to honestly DIY PR themselves. So a lot of the times they'll look up, okay, what is it that PR professionals do? And what do I need to be doing, right? So one of the first things that comes up is press release. They want to figure out, okay, how do I need to write it if I've got to do this to get media attention? So press release would probably be a keyword that I would do or something press adjacent because that's usually where they would be searching to find some help or support there. The next would probably be, gosh, what is another one that's really big? Likely PR agency, because there's some that are versed in what PR is, what it does, and what it doesn't.
Mhm.
So folks that specifically will look for just a PR agency or a publicist, which is also very, very specific too. And those that know what a publicist is, they'll be the ones that'll be searching and kind of that's kind of why I would probably use that one too, because somebody would ideally know exactly what they're looking for if they're looking for a publicist.
Right. And I love that you started with kind of that top of the funnel, right? Where top of the funnel, well, what might people be searching for when they first are even dipping their toes into something related to PR, right? Maybe they're not ready to hire a publicist or a PR agency, or
Mhm.
maybe they don't even know they need one yet, but they're thinking about something PR related. So, right, maybe they're thinking about DIYing something and DIYing a press release and they want to know how to do it. You want to make sure you're hitting on that keyword, right? And
Mhm.
that's another thing from an SEO perspective, not just hitting on those keywords, but creating content that is relevant to what your target audience might be searching for before they even know to be searching for you directly, right? So they're not necessarily going to be searching Brandinc or need a publicist, find publicist now, right?
Right.
But maybe they're starting with, hmm, I I want to write my own press release. But now they might have found content about you because you're writing, maybe you write or a blog post, for example, how to write your own press release. Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah, maybe you provided them value and they went and wrote their own press release. Great. But we all know that that is just the very beginning. So they've just started getting into the PR world. They're going to really quickly realize, wait, I probably need more help with this than I think I do. And who's the first person they're going to think of? Probably is going to be you because you already helped them for free, right? You already provided value to them and they already found you. So now there's that brand recognition, that brand awareness, and that brand trust,
Mhm.
that cannot be understated. So all of this, again, it's from a PR perspective, branding perspective, but also that SEO perspective. So it plays in so many different things. I feel like I kind of got a little bit off base here, but
Oh,
again,
you're
it's like
good.
SEO. I could go on forever about it. I really can.
No, that's so good. No, it's super helpful though too, because I think SEO is like this hidden gem that people are still kind of getting hip to, but are 100% adapted and on board with it. Largely because they don't understand the benefit, and there it is a lot of benefits to SEO if you know what you're doing with it. It could be this great help to boosting your business, or it could be potentially a hindrance of why you're not getting business, or in my case, why people are searching for a character from the 90s. And they're looking for me. Oh my gosh, Brandy didn't tell me that she was on The Sims. I'm like, I wasn't. Came out. No, not
Are
the case.
you sure, Brady? Is this your way of trying to tell everybody that you were the first Sims character?
Yes, like the first
Surprise!
Sims character, right? Like, I feel like people would really like take that and run with it. No, I really think that you're lying, Brandy. It's like, what? Like, okay, got it. All right, that makes sense.
It's funny too, though. I wonder how many people do go and take the time to Google themselves because I've
Yes.
definitely been doing that for years. But does the everyday person that doesn't work in branding or marketing or PR, do they go and do that? I don't know. But you should. Here's your reminder. You should you should see what's popping up under your name because you might be either pleasantly or maybe not so pleasantly surprised. And maybe that's the time when you have to reach out to Brandy to help you with your PR, make sure that the right things are popping up for you.
Exactly, exactly. So true there. So, okay, so we've kind of talked about the backlinks. And I still want to kind of stay on this SEO part of this because it's such an important component of your branding and your marketing. So with AI inclusion, right? So with AI driven search like Google search generative experience, if I can say it right, goodness, it's changing how content is ranked and displayed. How should brands adjust their PR and their SEO strategies to stay competitive in this particular space?
That is such a good question. And I'll be honest with you, Brandy, that is a question that I think marketers, SEO agencies, SEO experts are still kind of reckoning with a bit, right? Because on one end, there is that sort of fear or that argument that, oh no, now is everything that we know about SEO going to get completely flipped on its head and completely changed? Well, first of all, I'll say this much. The funny thing about SEO is that it is always changing. You always have to be adapting your SEO strategy and you can never get too comfortable with it. So as soon as you think you have that Google algorithm cracked, it's going to change. And the funny thing also too is that anyone who says they definitively know Google's algorithm is either lying or maybe I need to talk to them because maybe they know something that I don't. But
Yep.
there is no Google gives you hints as to what it is, and people kind of try to crack the code. We never 100% know, and it's always changing. Now, with that being said, kind of your point about AI and about these like large, language models and how there's that generative AI built into Google now. Um, does that mean that SEO as it is now is going away or we don't need to pay attention to it? No. But we do need to kind of stay on our toes and stay aware of how this is going to change search in general and how to get on those results for generative. I will admit I don't have any like key tips and tricks, but I will say continuing on that same trajectory of SEO and continuously refining your keyword strategy, continuously staying aware of where you're ranking in search results. All of that will, if you have a sound SEO strategy, that should and most likely will translate into you getting generative AI results as well. Time will tell, but as of now, the same websites that are getting really good rankings on Google through regular search, they're also the ones that are getting good rankings for AI. So
Oh,
yeah, that's
yes.
kind of all I know for now.
Yes. No, no, but that's super helpful though too. And I feel like I'm probably going to have to be hitting you up after this call to get a little help in my SEO because I'm
Yes,
a rock
please.
star at this. And clearly it shows when I searched you, because of course we're all going to search each other. And now, I mean, it's just the reminder to make sure to search ourselves. But, being able to kind of compile these questions that I had for you today, I obviously searched you. And then right out the gate, it was all of the articles that you've been featured in, all of the things you've spoken at, all of your handles. And it was very, very clear, who you are, what you do, what you've been involved in. So, the importance of this is so necessary. And it's just like, it's beyond me that people are still like not aware of what all SEO can do. And even finding that, hey, I've got to make some tweaks even in mine, so that I have that search population. But yeah, just kudos to you because
I I,
your
I
stuff
will
pops.
I will say thank you for saying all of that because admittedly, my SEO for my personal brand and for my agency UpBeat has definitely fallen to the wayside because I'm sure you can relate to this, Brandy. We're so focused day to day on helping other brands and other people with their marketing and their PR and their SEO that it's my own definitely is, I'd say, not necessarily like emblematic of what I can do for other people. So, um, thank you for the reminder, though. I need to get back on that for myself too. It's important.
Hey, well, you've been killing it, even not even messing with it. Okay. Just wanted to point that out that it
Thank
looks
you.
amazing. So it definitely makes me want to do a lot better and check these things out for sure. So, okay. So we've talked SEO, we've talked digital marketing in some ways and how all of this is all connected and tied to each other. So I definitely want to jump into some more recent events that have happened. So, of course, Super Bowl just happened. Always a great time, especially for being entertainment sports side. So we saw a lot of brands that went all out for Super Bowl. I mean, that was very clear. That's very evident. But not just with the commercials, but also through PR-driven digital campaigns. So, what lessons can small business owners really take from major event based PR strategies to maximize that visibility and that engagement? Because I know you deal with
Ooh,
that
that's a
from
great question.
travel, hospitality, and CPG space and so on.
That is a great question. So I'm going to preface this with saying I'm terrible. I'm the worst. I know. Did not watch the Super Bowl.
Dun,
I'm
dun,
the
dun,
worst.
dun,
I'm the
dun.
worst. I've definitely like I heard whisperings of some brands that had really effective marketing strategies and I absolutely love to go in and dissect, what are the ads that they use? What did they uh not what did they take not just from the ads, but how did they leverage that singular ad to create this super cohesive campaign? So I'll kind of start with that. So I'm not going to be able to give like highly specific ones, but I will say this much. What brands can learn from, these events like the Super Bowl and, these these ads that companies spend millions and millions of dollars to get these placements, right? Do you necessarily need to have a multi-million dollar placement to be successful? No, absolutely not. But what you can learn from it is not just to take a look, not just at the ad, but what brands are doing to follow up with that, right? So maybe they have, this one ad campaign out, but what do they do after? Are you going to see then billboards out there with like QR codes to scan? Are you going to see that they're doing an email campaign to follow that kind of continues to play on these media mentions and the success of that Super Bowl campaign. I'd say looking at that bigger picture and not just at that singular ad is what's going to kind of help you as a brand or as a marketer, what have you, to kind of figure out how you can play that into your own marketing strategy.
Ooh, hey, Stephanie. So I heard that you have some events coming up that we need to check out. So tell me what's the tea?
Yeah, I just a little something something, but on April 9th, so that's a Wednesday at noon Eastern time, I'm going to be on the Wednesday live stream. So it's a Wednesday live stream and podcast with Reveting and, of course, with Wednesday. We're going to be talking about everything B2B marketing, B2B sales. So yeah, I hope to see you guys come and check it out.
Okay, consider it booked. We're there. Love it. Love that. I love that. There's so many examples in all of this that can really apply to small business owners, and that's why I like talking about these things, because people think that, oh, but well, it's a national campaign, or they spent $1 million for 10 seconds on Super Bowl, and there's no way I can relate to them. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
wise, maybe not. But the premise and what they did and how they leveraged that, you can absolutely take something from it. So I'm so glad to hear from you that you see that as well as an opportunity to learn and take a piece of that and how and tie that into your brand and your marketing in a way that that's compelling and that you're actually leveraging that can be beneficial for you in the long run. So that's really really dope that you mentioned that. That's so great. So another thing that I definitely wanted to ask you about, in terms of just the trends and how things are moving in terms of PR and the media landscape, right? So we all know that it's been a little rocky. Not even gonna lie, it's been a little rocky, and largely because there's been massive media layoffs. And what we're seeing
Mhm.
that, the typical traditional media has shifted, right? So we still have print, we still have radio, we still have television. So it's not like it's gone, but it's definitely decreasing. And this is largely because the audience has kind of shifted from we're always subscribing to now we're subscribing, but we're subscribing online. So I'd love to hear from you. Just what do you foresee as this trend continues to kind of exist and continue to almost ramp up? I think there was a huge layoff just even a couple days ago with
Oh my God, you see them all the time. It's crazy.
what are your thoughts on that and what insights do you see moving forward as the media landscape is really changing?
So I will say this for one. When people think about these and talk about these rapid changes, one of the first buzzwords we're going to hear is AI. And AI is also a reason that a lot of people might end up pointing fingers and saying why some of these layoffs are happening. So the first thing to be very clued into and aware of and on top of would be trends in AI and in automation. It's not that everyone's jobs are going to be replaced by AI. It's that those who understand how to leverage AI to the fullest to make their own day to day more efficient, right? And to be more cost effective because of that, they are the ones that are going to endure and they're going to kind of, might skirt by those layoffs and be able to be successful in these media driven and marketing industries. So I'd say that's one really big piece of the puzzle. Other thing too is to pay attention to things like influencer marketing, where you can, as a marketer or PR person, where you can leverage these brands, and where you can kind of team with different brands, whether it's a micro influencer or those larger macro influencers, right? So you don't necessarily have to be thinking about, getting a Kardashian level influencer, right? Or a
Hmm.
Jenner level
Yeah.
influencer to be successful. Think about, those ones that might have 20, 30, 50,000, 100,000 followers, but are very, very specific to your niche. Um, so that's kind of like the first thing that I can think of there. I don't know, Brandy, what else are you thinking of when you think of like how to sort of stay ahead? Because I'm in marketing, you're in PR, and I know there's so many overlaps there, but
Yes.
what you think of might be totally different from what I do. So
Yes, yes. Well, definitely. I would say in terms of just what I foresee, honestly, and I kind of talk about this in another episode, that one of the things that I foresee happening in terms of the media landscape is that we're going to see a lot more media professionals become their own content creators. And the reason why I said this is because
such a good point.
I started seeing it in my inbox. So former MSNBC correspondent or former Forbes writer that has now created their own newsletter and a Substack, and you can subscribe and get the updates on what am I covering right now, what's my new beat, who am I freelancing for, and it's almost in the same breath that I've seen influencers, content creators kind of explore and then build their own personal brand. So it was really based off of my inbox that I saw this. And then slowly but surely, I started to see more and more of the same thing of former media professionals, some still working in the space, others not so much, that have literally created their own personal brands. And now they've started to create their own content. And so with that,
So true.
it's become a thing. Have you seen that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look at the two of us right now, right? We're having these conversations. You have your own podcast, I have mine. I am always going on LinkedIn and trying to kind of harness my own personal brand in that way by, consistently speaking about marketing trends and staying on the loop and having conversations with people. And you're so on the money with that. It's so important to not just think about as a marketer or PR person or media person how you are, leveraging these brands and influencers for your clients' brands, but also for yourself. That is how you're going to stay recognized. That's how you're going to kind of, not be able to, whether it's not get laid off or not be afraid of being laid off because you already have this baby that you curated for yourself, your own personal brand. It's so important. I think it's the future for pretty much everything and for everybody,
Yeah.
to be able to kind of stay current and relevant and, be able to, like I said, kind of outlive these layoffs and not be afraid, of, your sort of career future.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. It's like personal branding has become crucial and such a pinnacle here. And as you were speaking, I was just thinking like, you know, in terms of this shift too, I feel like in both of our respective industries, we saw the same thing in that it went from, and I don't know if I feel like you can speak to this too, but did you notice how it went from, oh, we're marketing, 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 and now it's digital marketing? Because I saw
Hmm.
where it was PR, 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 and now it's digital PR.
Digital PR. Yeah.
There's some that have made the distinction on their sites. There's some that make the distinction in their profiles now that no, I'm not PR, I'm digital PR. And it's like, it's the same thing. Like,
It really is.
what are
It
you
really
talking
is.
about?
Right? Exactly. I mean, because what is really the difference at the end of the day? I mean, I'll tell you from as a marketer what I think the difference is, but again, it's the same thing.
Yes.
So when I think if I were to be thinking of someone that is specifically a digital marketing agency, um, I mean, they're going to be doing maybe they're not going as deep as they're going as like creating a cohesive marketing plan where they might also be doing traditional media, right? Now, of course, traditional media is less important these days, but basically, when I think a marketer, I think holistic, right? So they're looking at every single different channel, whether it's digital or traditional, and they might still be playing into those traditional channels if they realize that it's actually going to resonate with that audience. Because there are traditional media channels that are still very much important. When we talked about the Super Bowl, it's obviously an extreme example, but there still are commercials, right? It still exists. Or say a B2B organization that there might be a publication that still is distributed nationwide, like some sort of catalog or something that, these organizations, they're still opening them up and going through them. Or it's still important to have that placement on there, even if not, even if it's a traditional form that's not used as often. I'm trying to think of other examples of traditional. Anyway, I mean, a point being, it still is important, but it's that holistic view, right? Same with you. It's not just digital PR, but there still is that traditional media that's going to be important. If you're just digital, then you might be missing some of those little pieces and not be looking at it from a more holistic perspective.
Oh, I love your explanation. I love all of your explanations to this. You break it down
Thank
so
you.
well.
I appreciate it.
Yes, you really do. You break it down so well for someone that is not familiar with the space, that can really understand like what you mean and how it resonates, and really applies to them. So yeah, no, that was such a good explanation because I never really thought about it in the sense of, because I always look at it like, okay, if it's PR, it's PR. Like the media may change, but it's all the same, right? But
Mhm.
for those that have decided and opted to list themselves as like digital PR, to be very specific, it does kind of in comparison, you look at it almost as it is a holistic approach. Like this is going to be all encompassing, whereas they're saying that, okay, I'm specific to just this area. And that is a specialty, right? In and of itself, it's saying that you are specializing in this particular area. This is where I focus on in terms of the overall umbrella, I guess, that exists. Yeah, so that was a really good example. I'm probably gonna steal that, girl. Just so you know.
Please do. It's
I'm
all
gonna steal
yours. Have it.
it's such a good example and way to describe it. So that's really dope. What do you think is some of the biggest misconceptions that you get in marketing?
Ooh,
Just of what you
misconceptions.
do and what you offer. Because I feel
Oh,
like I kind of said a little bit earlier of in PR, we get a lot of misconceptions because it's assumed that we do, like for one, it's assumed that it's one thing that marketing is heavy on. That's database. I want to say getting into like advertisement and things like that. They just kind of assume that, oh, well, that's PR and you do that. And I'm like, no, that's actually marketing. And then that's also advertisement because it's an ad.
right.
You know? And we get into analytics, that's actually marketing. We're not data. PR is not data. We're word of mouth. That's very clear.
It's interesting that
Often.
it's interesting that you say that about analytics though, because is there to some extent some measurement that needs to happen, like of or like do you analyze at all, like what a certain media mention or something like that, how that impacts their like strategy or like so
Yes.
is there some analytics to that?
There is some analytics that we do. It's just not heavily data based. So our analytics, for example, we'll like base it off of like articles and mentions that we receive. So we weigh it based on the reach that it has, the impressions that it has, the type of outlet. So we kind of have like a criteria that we look at. And that's what we use as the basis of our analyzing. Well, was it successful? Was it not? What was the impressions? What was the response from it? What are the sentiments of the audience? Did they love it or are they like, oh my gosh, this is awful? You know, so that's kind of how we do it, but it's not something that I would say, gosh, or maybe I would, that they would reach out specifically for that. It's just something that we
Oh, I
for
see.
right?
Okay.
Okay, so that's kind of where I'm
I
like,
see.
no, we don't get really into the data, but we have it, but it's
Yeah,
not something
you
that
do, just not the same data, right?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like you're on Google Analytics, like tracking that stuff, or
Yes.
or going through their CRM. That would be
No.
marketing.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, oh, misconceptions. It's like, where do I even begin with that? Because you're right, there are so many. I would say for one that marketing is just reserved for people that have these huge, or for organizations with these huge budgets. They're the ones that should be getting into marketing now, or that should be investing in marketing. On the other hand, right? Or oh, my business is too new. I shouldn't be investing in marketing yet. On contrary, I would say it's actually the opposite. If you are new, you should be investing even more of your revenue back into marketing, because that is how you consistently grow and how you reach those goals. Um, I'd say the more established of a business you are, unless you have very specific objectives that say, like, you have a new product or service you really want to be pushing. Um, in those cases, actually, you'd be allocating in general probably less of a percentage of your revenue towards your marketing. So that's one. I don't think marketing is reserved just for small or big. I work with solo entrepreneurs, and I also work with larger organizations. So of course, their strategy might be a bit different, and their overall budget may be different, but at the same time, um, if you work with the right agency, they're going to understand that. They're going to be able to craft something that's specific to your needs. And it's not going to be a one size fits all solution. So I'd say that's one misconception. Other ones. I'd also say another one too. The same way that Randy, you have people coming to you with marketing requests. Marketing is not PR, right? Now, with that being said, I do have worked with some clients and, written up some press releases. But actually, I am very specific to say that, funny enough, it's digital PR. So
Yes,
it's,
yes.
kind of playing into getting those earned media mentions and all of that, but really looking at it from a marketing perspective, right? So we're not going to be measuring the same things that you necessarily would be, Brandy. We're going to be looking at it more from getting those backlinks and getting those media mentions and looking at it from how it's playing into our marketing objectives.
I love that. Yes. That is such a good explanation. And you know what? Our misconceptions are very similar because it is one of those things that, and I wish that would stop, but I get it. I understand where it comes from. But yeah, people saying that, oh, market is for the big guys. I've got to be multi-million dollar. I've got a revenue generating. I've got to be the a national public figure. That's when I can actually, invest or be qualified for marketing. And it's like, no, dude, you need to be doing that now. How do you think people are going to reach out to you? How do you think you're going to get customers? It's through effective marketing, promotion, and PR. Like all of that is necessary. So I
Right.
think that as we can move along in this, even in this year, that more small business owners recognize that and realize that and say, hey, let's sit down and let's discuss budget and see what can we afford and start the conversation with yourself and getting into PR and all of that good stuff and being able to get the support that's needed so that they can scale their businesses more effectively because you can't count out marketing. You can't count out marketing,
Absolutely.
PR. It's all needed because how do you think people are going to get there? It's through marketing
Right.
and PR.
How are people going to know you? And it's like if you want to just stay teeny tiny and stay if you're just comfortable where you are, okay, fine, right? But I would argue that most business owners, they're passionate about their business and they want to see it grow. And if, another I will just say it, another misconception too is that people can just do it all themselves. And,
Mm,
even myself as a marketer owning a marketing agency, I can't even do all of that myself just for my own business because I'm focused on what am I focused on? My day to day of my business, my
yes.
customers, right? My clients, growing my business. From a sales perspective, reaching out to having outreach and all of that stuff. If I was trying to do all of that myself and focus on the day to day of my business, I would absolutely lose my mind. So that's the other thing too. Going it alone, maybe you can start with that, but most businesses really cannot afford to. You're going to be missing out on so many opportunities that way.
You're so right. You're so right. And so if this is not the call to action, I don't know what is. Okay. Stop doing it all yourself and outsource. Get the help and the support and the expertise that you need to be able to thrive and grow your businesses. I love that. I think that's a perfect way to wrap up today. It
Yeah.
was so good. I'm so happy that we had an opportunity to connect and just really talk shop and talk all things digital marketing, PR, and SEO. Hi, so important. So, how can folks get in contact with you if they want to ask you some questions maybe after this or get connected with your agency? Like, how can people get connected with
Yes, of course. So, first of all, you can find more about my agency, UpBeat, at upbeatgrowth.com. All the socials at Upbeat Growth. So that's Instagram. Where else are we? LinkedIn. Oh, YouTube as well. And then we also have our podcast episodes up there too. That's LinkedIn. Or no, sorry, not LinkedIn, YouTube slash at Upbeat Growth. And what else? And yeah, if you want to reach out to me, Stephany at upbeatgrowth.com. So that's Stephany. I always have to spell it because nobody spells it that way. At upbeatgrowth.com. Feel free to reach out, like I said, any of the socials too. And on my personal LinkedIn. So, and that's
yes.
slash Stephany Kaufman.
Yes, awesome, awesome. And are there any upcoming events we can support? And really, how can we support you? What's
Oh,
your
how could you
coming up?
support me? I would say, hey, first of all, follow me on LinkedIn. I've been, we were talking a lot about personal branding and all of that today. I mean, I've really been putting a lot of time and effort into being active on LinkedIn and really communicating with people there. So if you want to support me and you want to, want to chat with me, LinkedIn is a great place to get started with that. So yeah, I'd say go on LinkedIn, events. Oh, not nothing really event-wise. Hey, I've really just been plugging away working with my clients. So, um, yeah, that's
I
pretty
love
much
it.
it for now.
Awesome, awesome. Well, glad to hear it. Well, hey, this was amazing. Definitely love having you here. Let's continue the
Yes,
conversation on
please.
come back because I'm sure just in the next few months there'll be probably another update and another new change that we have to talk about and really start to build upon strategy wise and what does that look like and all of the good stuff. So definitely happy that we got to have this chat and really hope
Me too.
and
Me
in the future.
too. Yeah,
Yes,
no, thanks for having me. And I gotta get plugged in with you just about PR stuff. Like maybe you can
yes.
help me with that. I'd love to get some more insights from you.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I'm always game to talk PR. Always ready.
Same
Well,
girl with marketing all
yes,
day.
yes, all day. I just love it. Love it. All right. Well, this was a great, great episode. So happy that you all were able to be a part of this. So happy to get a chance to talk to you, Stephany. This was amazing. So as always, get connected with us at Brandinc PR. So Brandinc PR. And I said that really fast. I talk fast. Sorry.
No, you
Um,
really don't. You really don't. Trust me.
So be
You're
sure to
good.
follow us, subscribe, let us know what you think of this episode. And until next week, have a wonderful day.